Welcome to the podcast for January 6th, 2023. I'm one of your hosts, Matthew Techhio, and I am joined by...
Finally, the Dack has come back to the podcast. And next up is our friend...
Jeffrey, 80s Arcade Kid Suttor. My intro is like short and sweet.
There you
We
go.
can definitely smell what the 80s Arcade Kid is cooking.
Short and sweet, just like Geoff's Love Life.
Oh, what are we starting with? Are we starting with the news of the week or the weeks? It's been a while since we got together.
I thought, we're in the new year. We've just gone through the Christmas period. Maybe we should talk a little bit about Christmas.
Yes.
Okay, we'll lead the way, dude.
Well, lead the way. Well, sure. I'm not this Christmas. This Christmas was pretty low key for me. I didn't get much in the way of games. I think the only game I played over the Christmas period was Callisto Protocol, which was a game that I played over Christmas. Very, very pretty game. Good, solid. Look, on this scientific scale that I've got going, very, very solid 6.5 out of 10. But what I'd like to say is that my birthday is very close to Christmas. So, growing up as a kid, I used to be able to do the thing where I'd say to my family, well, what you can do is you can buy me the console for my birthday, and you can buy me some games for Christmas, or vice versa, because without one or the other, you can't really do much. But so I got a lot of good memories back in the day of getting a NES and playing Super Mario Brothers on Christmas Day, or Duck Hunt and Super Nintendo and Zelda 3 and all that kind of stuff.
What was your best Christmas gaming present ever?
I don't know. Like, I don't know which one was the best ever. The one I remember the most for some reason, and it's not one of my favorite games, but Donkey Kong Country for the SNES. I think because it came out. I think it came out on my birthday, so don't go in the social media DOS. What is it called?
DDoS.
Not DDoS. What's the word? Dox me by going and figuring out what day that came out in Australia. But I believe it came out on my birthday, and it was near the end of the Super Nintendo's run, so to speak. And it just blew away. Like they cheated to make those graphics happen. They made them on a much more powerful machine, and then just copied them across. But I remember playing that at Christmas time, just going, man, this is the future. It doesn't get much better than this.
And it never did it?
The music in that game is fantastic. We should have brought that up in the last podcast.
Now we will touch on the music that
good.
a few people called in. I haven't gone and got the music, so we're probably going to do it a bit ad lib and better ad hoc. But my Christmas, like yours, was really subdued. We don't really do a lot from Christmas, being elderly people. My son's 19 and he likes to do his own thing, although he is around at Christmas. Usually, in the evenings he's gone. But we just, we did the little, my wife did up some stockings. They weren't really stockings, just bags, the present bags you get.
Yep.
And just like our favourite things like chocolates, and I think Jack got a deodorant, and I
got
some Lynx Africa.
Yeah, I don't know. He's into his deodorants now. But the biggest present I got was before Christmas. I bought myself a present.
What did you get, Geoff?
It's on screen now. It's a Makamuri PCB. So I've been after, and I'm just going to tilt my camera down so you can see my crotch. Wait a sec. Whoa.
No. For the listeners, the audio listeners here, they're blessed.
So this game is an original Capcom Makamuri. I don't know how you say it again. I've never really learned.
Ghosts and Goblins. Let's go with
Ghosts
that.
and Goblins, but this is an original arcade PCB. I got my holy grail. Now I was going to convert it into a Ghosts and Goblins, but in the end I was like, I don't need to convert it because it's an original. I don't want it. Like, I'll find another Ghosts and Goblins PCB at some stage because apparently Apparently, these PCBs are actually quite rare too, to have an original Japanese one. So
Japanese boards are actually quite expensive too, Geoff, for that period.
dude, apparently I got this pretty cheap for what it is and from what I've seen online. And to be honest, I can just put the ROMs in and have it US, but sometimes there's issues when you change ROMs and stuff. So honestly, it's gonna stay this Japanese version, and I'm quite happy with that.
I
tell.
just know that that is an awesome get, by the way, Geoff.
100%.
But I know for a
Ghosts and
fact
Ghosts is kind of better, but you know, each their own.
That's exactly.
it's
it's
just like
actually
the
harder.
SNES version of Aladdin.
It's harder than Ghosts and Goblins. Like I went through my usual pattern, and it's actually harder.
Minutes, I'm getting fucking dog shit already.
That's right, because it is dog shit. So that was my Christmas. I got a pre-Christmas present for myself,
wonderful.
and then I had a very subdued Christmas. I played this quite a bit, so that's what I've been playing. The Christmas was short and subdued. Only took off the days in between, unlike you, Mr. Techhio, who has had an extra week. Over to you, Dan.
And well, before we jump onto myself, which we all want to, do you have a favorite Christmas memory from like your childhood, when like receiving anything in particular, like game wise at all?
Me, everything game wise kind of happened more birthdays, I think.
Yep.
Like, you know, when I got my Amiga was my birthday. I saved up half the money, and my parents said, okay, you save half, we'll do the other half. But they bought me a 1084S monitor as well, which was like quite a bit of money extra. So, you know, when we went to buy it and they said, oh, you can have the monitor as well, I was like, ah! But that wasn't really Christmas, that was birthday. Christmas, Christmas has usually been like, you know, not anymore obviously, but it's kind of like at the grandparents' house or something. So it was always sort of subdued, and it's just cartoons in the morning and Christmas food, and actually being quite bored unless we went out somewhere. So I don't have a memory of a Christmas where I got this amazing console or computer or anything. Birthdays.
All right, we'll move on to the main event. So,
wait, no, you haven't. Oh, you mean you? I thought you meant past this section.
This Christmas wasn't too over the top. Like, son's getting to that sort of age where he's more interested in, you know, getting money and things like that. So it's not something that's, you know, like it was back when he was younger. So this Christmas, I didn't really get anything gaming related apart from this shirt from my brother, which is, I'll give you a bit of a
it's Bango Kabuki.
It is Bango Kabuki. Covers up the old beer gut. I've gone from the last 3 Christmases. I went from small shirt, medium shirt. Now I'm in large. So
welcome to the club,
the mid-30s.
Extra large once you hit 40.
Yeah, so next year I might be in the XL. Who knows? And the missus got me the new Tom Petty live LP, which is like from his Fillmore sets, which is pretty unreal. She got me my Royal Dalton decanter and goblet set, and I've got some Shane Warne cologne, so you can't really go wrong.
Yeah, it sounds great. Really good.
And as for like old, like, you know, favorite gaming memory, it had to be Christmas 1997.
Nice exact year.
Yep, 100%. Getting the N64. Got I think I got Mario Kart and GoldenEye. I'm pretty sure that year. And I remember like Christmas Day, because we always used to go down to Nan and Pop's place, taking the N64 with me. So I wasn't bored on Christmas Day, mate, that year. Hooked it up to the old TV, mate, and I was like, spent like the first, I swear I spent a good solid hour and a half learning how to do the Wario Stadium shortcut where you jump over the wall on the first jump, and then it's just been unbeatable ever since.
Good stuff.
Yeah, so that'd probably be my favourite memory, yeah.
I kind of feel like I've missed out.
Yeah.
It's okay, there's plenty of time now.
I get bigger and better presents now for myself.
There you go. All right, well, I guess we'll move on from that if we've covered Christmas. So, keeping in the theme of the season, my friend Matthew, do you have a favourite like Christmas themed game or something with like some sort of Christmas element to it?
Don't you dare say Christmas Donkey Kong.
No. I hate that game, regardless of what version it is.
Although very well done, it was.
Oh yeah, exceptionally well done and great. Great work from the person who created it, Sockmaster legend. I guess there's not a game that's themed around Christmas that I really love, but there is a game that I used to play as a kid, and for no good reason, Santa was a boss in the game, like evil Santa.
Cool.
It was called Secret of Mana or Secret of Mana, depending on how you want to say it. For the Super Nintendo, it was a RPG, like kind of like an action RPG, like a Zelda game. And it was great music, great graphics, and all that for the time. But there was this winter
Cheers, Danny.
area of the planet you'd go to, and you're working your way through the forest. It's all under snow, and there's just like a little house, and you go in there. There's some reindeers there or whatever, and you're like, yeah, okay, that's cute. And then you go into this palace and you work your way through it, and the boss is freaking Santa.
Dude, that sounds
And
awesome.
Yeah, you got to beat the crap out of Santa, and then at the end he's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I don't know what came over me. I'm very jolly now. Let's have a good time."
There you go.
You can all have presents.
He
Yeah,
works pretty hard, so
I-
give the
I've-
guy a break. He's got to vent, let out his anger somewhere.
I mean, look at all those impersonators out there of him every year
Yeah.
trying to get the glory. He works hard every year, and
Here
these
they come.
schmucks
We'll have
just
to talk
wanting all the love.
Christmas movies
Just rock up
after.
and bit of sweet chin music.
Yeah.
What about you, Geoff?
Yeah, Christmas themed. Geez, I must have had a really subdued childhood because that sounds awesome. I would have loved to find a Christmas game to play at Christmas. I'm just
Die Hard. It came out.
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
PC
No,
Engine.
movies. We'll talk about Christmas movies, which Die Hard is obviously the premier one, or it's absolutely not at all, depending on your stance on the matter.
Lethal Weapons at Christmas time too. I just want to point that out.
Well, it must be a Christmas movie then.
All-time
So
classic online.
I don't have one. I don't have a Christmas game, I'm afraid. I'm going to say Christmas Donkey Kong because I don't know of any other Christmas games.
Well, I'd say a game you played at Christmas time, but it sounds like you just didn't play
Oh,
games
board
at Christmas
games.
time.
Board games.
Yep, go for it.
Yeah. Like all your classic Settlers of Catan. Risk was a very early one that started a lot of fights in Monopoly. We don't go there anymore. Never do that with your family, dude. Never play Monopoly or Risk with your family.
No.
But yeah, Settlers of Catan or God, what's the other card games I really like? God, it's been so long. I've got them sitting up here somewhere.
I believe they had chess and Go when you were young. Those were the games.
There was board games. Oh, Squatter. You ever played Squatter?
No.
Squatter.
Sounds kinky. Tell me about Squatter.
Squatter. I'll get it 1 second.
Oh God.
You gotta stop walking off the screen here, Geoff. It's so.
Yeah, Squatter. So
Yeah.
that's there we go. I think I've looked up a couple of videos about it, but I don't think this is going to be the same game that Geoff's about to introduce.
No, I don't think so. I hope not. Oh God, it's an Australian themed game, as in squatter, as in sheep squatter.
Squatter is the game. The game.
This is some Queensland bullshit.
No, this is Australian. This is a very classic.
You know,
Australian
Queensland's
game.
part of Australia, right?
No, I know, but I'm saying it's not just Queensland. This is an Australian game, and hey, I lived in New South Wales for most of my life.
Who
But
made
you
that,
literally
Geoff?
that was made. The board game invented and designed by Australian, manufactured for Australian-owned company. Yeah, but what company?
And just while you're doing that, a full disclosure for the audio listeners, on the front of this box, it's pretty much just
Sheep
this
station.
bloke in the middle of a goddamn field with a bunch of sheep with him.
Yep.
Doesn't
Under a tree or something.
under a tree, yeah.
It says family favourite for 40 years, and I probably got that in 2010 or something because it's a newish box. I saw it there at the.
Never heard of it.
But
Neither have I. I've heard of Test Match. Oh,
I used to rock Test Match back in the day.
But I
used to
can't.
bug the old man to
You've
play just because you want to.
You got your fake money, just like in Monopoly. You've got all your little sheep in the thing, and it's kind of like, you have cards where events happen, like all your sheep get like fucking shitty
Really
ass
should have
fly rot or
saved this
whatever.
to embarrass
Yeah,
them.
this would have been really good if we had.
But
our
you go around
guest
the
on
board
this
and
week.
you've got to build up your sheep stations and get better pastures. And you're literally selling sheep at the end of the season.
Squat off.
Yeah, we'll play it at the Kong off in the off times when we're waiting for a cat.
We'll have a squat off.
But just board games probably because it kind of involved the family more than a video game would have.
What has your family done for you lately, mate?
Nothing.
That's
Nah,
right.
yeah. What you mean, make
Time to put Geoff first. That's what I say.
My wife, everything. Everybody else?
All right. Well, we'll move on to me. Again, this is going to be a bit of a short one. So,
You,
like
you got to
game
go
like-
play squatter with someone tonight, I believe.
Got him. So, the thing about like a Christmas themed game, there's only like a level I can think of, and that's it's going to be a bit of a multi-level one, but I'll keep it quick. So, Freeze Easy Peak on Banjo Kazooie, and just quickly on that note, because it does have like snowmen, and it's got like you got to find presents and all that jazz. But I need to retroactively go back to the previous podcast as for games that had the best start to back, hit after hit soundtrack. I don't know where my mind was at. Banjo Kazooie. What a freaking game. What a soundtrack. Grant Kirkhope.
Legend.
Home run.
Legend.
Absolute home run on that.
You can't include, even though that's obviously a great soundtrack, you can't include that. That conversation's over. So it's the competition is still between, right? No, I'm joking. Great game. Thanks for.
All right. So I guess we've covered our Christmas themed stuff for now. So like going through 2022,
the year that was.
Yeah, the year that was. It's like 2019 through to 2022 was all the 1 year, but
there's a big event that Matt has in 2022.
Just let the man finish. By the man, I mean me. So throughout 2022, start with Matt. Yeah, mate. Be the man, you got to beat the man.
I was about to say that, and I believe that's what I did during the course of this year.
That you did.
I did too.
So going through 2022, like aside from like the mainstays that we have, like our Donkey Kongs, etc. Was there a game that you played throughout 2022 that you quite enjoyed that you hadn't played before, or you went back to playing and things like that?
Yeah. I'll keep it contemporary. I really enjoyed Elden Ring this year. It was a really good middle ground between the Dark Souls games and something like Breath of the Wild. Having that open world where you can explore, and I like the fantasy settings. It's a lot more interesting than real life, and I think it's probably a lot of people's game of the year, but that's because it was so damn polished and so damn good, and just the amount of secrets and fun little things that you could do. So that was probably, out of all the games I played during the year, that was the one.
What platform did you play that on?
I played it on the Xbox Series X.
Yeah.
And it played like a dream. I got one of those fancy variable refresh rate TVs, and it smooths out the kinks when it drops under 60 frames or whatever, and
that's awesome.
I think that was the way to play it.
Okay.
Sweet. How about yourself, Jeffrey? Did you play anything this year, or did you return to a game that you sort of enjoyed, or was there anything modern?
I was grinding Donkey Kong pretty hard.
You were.
So from the beginning of the year till Kong Off, I was going pretty hard at it, and then after Kong Off, I got my million, and that was
humble brag.
But after that, I was kind of go, I want to learn the grouping, and I started sort of doing 1.1 tactics. That has fallen off to almost nothing, as Matt will attest. Matt, it's good to see you down there. You seem kind of very low in the camera. Sit up, boy.
I'll just move my desk down instead.
Oh wow!
Wow, that actually worked really well.
So
other than that, I think I've already gone over it. I started playing Ghosts and Goblins again because I kind of got the cocktail table and did it up. And I have started playing Rygar again, and I have already surpassed the arcade world record on MAME, but I haven't replicated it on arcade. So I don't know if we're going to hold some kind of an event to try and, world record weekend where a couple of people try different world records or PBs or whatever. But I know how to break it, and I could break it on a given event day. So I'm quite satisfied with that. I'll just wait until we do that at some stage.
I think the only world record I have a chance of is probably gerbling. Look it up.
But I'll have to say it again. My world record is a twin. Well, I don't own it yet. I'm still second. But the world record is a Twin Galaxies world record. and Twin Galaxies, you can kind of make your own tracks anyway. So you can make, but the
Squatter track.
yeah, exactly the traditional track, which is the default settings on arcade, is like 6.3 million. Sorry, 6.4 million now, world record. I set it at 6.3. Someone came along and set it at 6.4, and I've got a 6.7 now on MAME. So I kind of know how to beat it. But yeah, down the track, sometime this year.
Awesome.
But what was the question? Because I've just gone on my tangent.
It was any like playing any games throughout 2022 that you went back to, or anything new? But
console, PC games. I am a stickler for sticking to my stuff. Right, PUBG on PC, and if it's not that, I'm playing Donkey Kong, Rygar, or Ghosts and Goblins.
Yeah, I think we're all probably a bit the same. We sort of stick to our guns. There's only like a few things that sort of come out that sort of grasp my interest. So in 2022, I think the contemporary game that I played.
A bit of Arkanoid. Came back to that a little bit.
There you go. Yeah, so I think Little Nightmares 2. I don't know if you guys have ever played the Little Nightmares or the original, this one that came out, but it was a game that my son and I played initially when the original one came out. It's just like a horror puzzle game. If you haven't played it, I'd 100% recommend it. Plays really great. It's really good artwork and things like that. So that'd probably be my favourite game that I played in 2022. That was a real joy, and that's like one of those series that comes out. My son and I will get together and we'll play through it all together. So that's kind of how, I guess that's kind of why I like it so much, because that's one thing that brings us together. Aside from that, the missus and I, because she used to play the original Saints Row games.
Wow.
So we finished the original Saints Row probably a bit less than a fortnight ago, and now we're currently working through number 2.
Published by THQ.
Yeah, I was only looking at that. There we go. It's actually right here.
Number 3 is very good.
But the studio that made it is a very good studio. Volition, was it? Volition? What's the studio logo on the back?
I think it was Volition, wasn't it?
It's Volition, yeah. So I'd never played them before, but she played them when she was younger, and she's introduced me. So it's kind of like a poor man's Grand Theft Auto, but it's pretty fun.
Have you played number 3 yet? Because it's fantastic.
I know that she gaslights it pretty hard if I bring it when she starts talking about Saints Row about what they've done to it. So
yeah,
I don't go there.
You either like the first 2 or you like the last 2, and I got to say I like the last 2. I think number 3 will be right up your alley.
Wow,
nice.
She's also pro
bit of plastic bags on the head, that kind of thing. Like.
Before we move on, I just want to point out there is another game I played recently, and I really, really like it. It's an old game. It's called June 2. I don't know if any of you guys have ever played it. They even did a Mega Drive version for you, Dack. If you didn't own a computer back in the day. And it's a real-time strategy game. It's like the grandfather of all the real-time strategy games before Command and Conquer and all those kind of things. And I got around June, number 2, like the movie June, like the book.
Before or after Dark Reign?
It was well before Dark Reign. Okay. Anyways, fantastic game. Been putting together an old DOS machine to play games on and that recently. And it's fun. It's fun. It's great dealing with IRQs and DMAs and all things like that, and having to set those manually. That's the thing we don't have to do anymore.
And setting your Sound Blaster or whatever you had manually.
Yeah, A220, i7, D1, etc., etc.
To share a photo for our visual viewers to chuck over the top. I haven't seen it myself, so I'd like to see it.
I bought a Roland sound canvas. That was very exciting. I got one. I was going to get one when I'm off to Japan. They usually go for about $600-$700. And some dude on the other side of town was selling one for like $200, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? That sounds a lot better than having to carry it halfway around the world.
You do the fucking math.
Yeah, exactly. You do the math. So June 2, and when Geoff was talking about his world records there, which, by the way, Geoff, it is very impressive. I love it.
So.
Yeah. I hate giving you compliments, but you're very good at Riga. You're very good at games in general, Geoff. I wanted to just have a quick shout out to one of our mates, Mr. Bonaforce.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
19.4
4?
or 2? 19.
I was there. I was there when it happened, and I can't remember. But he
I
plays
know
a
he-
game called Psychic 5.
Yeah, Psychic 5. He had the world record already on main. He surpassed, his target was to surpass the MARP record, which he did. But he reckons he can get 21. He reckons he can get 21.
He had a bad game, and he still did it. So, yes.
Big round of applause for Boner. Good stuff, Boner.
What a big boner.
So this
He's a man that can grind.
Just a bit of background on Mr. Bonaforce, Michael Edwards. He set a main Nibbler billion. What the fuck's
Yes.
Nibbler?
He likes playing games that no one's ever fucking heard of, so that's why you.
That was, I think, that was a 39-hour marathon. He played the game for 39 hours straight.
That's some soft cock shit.
It is.
Where's it at?
Yeah.
That's not Todd Rogers. Come on, that was 14 days straight, bruv.
Yeah.
How many VHS tapes did he have to submit for that?
I think we worked it out. It was like 90, wasn't it?
Oh, that was like 4 pallets worth of VHS.
You can do anything, just don't lose the pallet.
Yeah. He got the first billion, I guess, the first Australian billion on the game. It was on main. And then Kibby came and did it on arcade and got the overall world record on arcade. I think 58 hours of straight play. It was just insane. So we got some pretty serious arcade, classic arcade guys here. And of course, old, oh God, Star Wars. I am so bad. I know. I apologize.
I don't accept your apology.
Who's got the Star Wars? Not Star Wars. Space Invaders.
Are you thinking about Luke?
Space Invaders.
Because he has a Star Wars one.
No, Space Invaders world record.
John
Tannehill. Oh God, I'm sorry, John. I had this mind blank on like, what's his name?
Little John.
Little John. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
What?
we got a few people that I mean, Dennis Edmonds got the Double Dragon world record once. I don't know if he still got it. Maybe he does.
I think he still does.
So you know, we've got a few competitors. There's one over the pond too that might join us in some episode one day. That in New Zealand that might that has a few different things as well. But
his eyes will light up as soon as he sees that game of Squatter, I reckon.
Oh, mate,
whoa.
Love it first sight.
I reckon he's played it. Do you
know?
know?
There was a big market.
It's IRL though. There.
Quick fact: that Squatter has now sold in Australia. The amount of Squatters now sold in Australia would stack 22 kilometers high, right? 2.5 times the height of Mount Everest. So stacking them on top. That's how many have sold in Australia. That's no joke.
Wow.
It's an ecological nightmare when you think about it.
I'm going to put this in my notes for the next episode. I need to get
You
some
can
research
take that
on this
to the
game.
bank.
Wow, there's a reference.
Yeah, that's a good one too. All right, so we'll move it along then from there. So one of the topics that we haven't discussed yet, and it's again for me, I haven't got a whole lot to sort of go over, but I've got a few stories that I could tell. But growing up, obviously, we had the handhelds come through, whether they be your Game Boys and your Sega Game Gear.
I had Octopus.
There's also those shitty fucking
Game and Watch.
Tiger handhelds.
Yeah, not Game and Watch. No, the
Tiger handhelds.
Tiger electronic games. Yeah.
What about? I had a big yellow Pac-Man one.
Yeah, those were legit.
I've got both of those here actually. I can show you guys if you like. But growing up, I guess we've sort of got a bit of a rotation going here. So we'll go with Matt. What was sort of like your sort of favorite handheld game, and then what would be like a memory that you recall that sort of stands out when you think of that stuff?
Well, I think first I'd have to figure out which one was my favorite handheld. And this may be a pretty boring answer, but I think the DS was probably my favorite handheld. I know it came out around the same time as like the PSP, and everyone was like, "Wow, this is shiny and fantastic and whatnot." But I remember, getting the DS and just the touch screen being really interesting.
Yeah.
To add things to the games, like I don't know if you ever played like Elite Beat Agents or anything like that. You would have loved that, Dack.
I'm a beat agent.
You are an elite beat agent, and
I've got rhythm.
Yeah, exactly. It was a touch-based game, and it's really hard to explain, but it was a team of elite.
It's a beat touch-based game, which is usually how it happens.
Well,
give me a few hours, boys.
So basically, what would happen is it's a bit of like a Charlie's Angels kind of thing. Someone would need an elite team to fix a situation, and these dudes in suits would just turn and rock up and dance and and stuff. And that was a fun little DS game. I wouldn't say that's my favorite handheld game, but definitely the DS I thought was just a really good. Like there was so many games for it, so many top classy games for that thing, and just I don't think I've ever seen that much shovelware since the PS2 come out. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. My favorite handheld game.
We didn't fuck around, but anyway.
The favorite handheld game. Oh, it's a hard one. I really enjoyed the Castlevania games for the DS. Probably. Not Portrait of Ruin. I'm sure there was 3, and I cannot for the life of me remember them. Whatever the first one was, its name I can't remember. I remember the name of the other 2, but let's just say those 3 games for the DS. Those would probably be my favorite handheld games. Nice. What about yourself, Geoff? You probably didn't have a handheld.
Of course, I did. It was I had Octopus on Game & Watch.
Oh yeah.
And my brother had, I think, Fire Panic. They were jumping out of buildings and onto trampolines or something. So those 2 games, and I always wanted an orange Donkey Kong Game & Watch, but they were expensive. And
that was the 2 screens. That one
never happened. I've seen them around. I've thought about buying them. I thought, arcades are better.
You don't need more of Donkey Kong in your life.
And so those 2, but one. So they're probably the only games. Oh, and the Pac-Man. I had the big yellow Pac-Man game that was like an LCD, and it was kind of the same screen over and over again.
Is it circle or rectangular?
No, it was rectangular and long, yellow.
Give me 2 seconds.
You'll probably get it out. But I always wanted actually an Atari Lynx.
Oh yeah,
because apparently Atari Lynx had a good conversion.
Rygar. It did have Rygar.
Yeah, but that's it. That's what I had. That sound. That's it. That's exactly it.
It also had a copy of Robotron that was very exciting for Phil Day.
Phil loves it.
Yeah. By the way, my player 1 button doesn't work on my cocktail. I have to fix that.
I can't help you with that right now.
No.
There you go. That's
I put a credit in before it didn't work.
Been there.
So yeah, how about you, Danny? What's your handheld favorite of all time?
So handheld favorite of all time. I was never really a big handheld guy, but I did get into the 3DS sort of a bit later on, into its lifespan. So I then collected the Zelda based special edition consoles. Really great game was Zelda Link Between Worlds, which is kind of like Link to the Past type, but they sort of changed a few elements on there. As for my favorite, but I did receive, I think it was Christmas. I believe it was 90. I want to say 98 or 99. I received a Game Boy Color, and with the color, I didn't really. I think I got the Super Mario Brothers Deluxe, which just had. I think it was just the original. I think it was just the original Super Mario game, and I think it may have had challenges on there and things like that. And the Game Boy camera. I don't know if you guys have ever seen one of those, but the pitch quality on that is immaculate. I'll put it that way. So I still bust that out sometimes. It's got batteries in there, and when mates come around, we'll be like, "Yeah, let's get a photo." But probably the memory that sticks with me the most from that was I had a game. It wasn't even that great, but it was kind of all I had. There was a game called Conker's Fur Tales, I think, or something along those lines. And I'd gotten pretty far into the game, and I had my little brother who's he's about a bit less than sort of 10 years younger than me. Obviously picked up the Game Boy and did the old classic erase save without sort of knowing. It was pretty rough. So then it was too too far deep to be like, I'm going through all this game again because there's a lot of grinding and
Was there
fast
a fist fight?
There wasn't, but there's a story that makes me think of around that same sort of era, which is probably about a year or so prior. This is back when, like, you'd have we had what's Foxtel now, but back then I think it was Ozstar, I believe, when it sort of first came out, and this is around about the time when I started first getting into like the WWF, and there was like one of the shows was on quite late at night, I think on a Friday night, so I got my mattress out and set it up in the lounge room, and was watching the wrestling, and you'd watch like Ozstar, during the night, and he's walking. So he's having like a weight set, believe it or not, and I don't think he's sort of. We only talked about this not too long ago. It'll explain a lot as soon as we come to the fruition here. So I'm there, just sleeping in the morning, and my little brother brings in and drops a 5 kilo weight dead on my skull.
What the?
That explains a lot.
Does it not though?
Simple.
That was pretty rough.
That's
I woke up.
I mean, that's
you woke up with a headache.
Inappropriate.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but I don't think he really he was. Again, he's probably like 3, so he wouldn't have realized. Realized it might have, actually no, it wasn't the 5 kilo. It was the 2.5 kilo one, but it was still enough to sort of be like
Concussed.
Yeah, I don't know if I was concussed, but it sort of explains why I'm such a blithering simpleton, I suppose. So it sort of ties it all together for everyone. Really,
Sorry to hear about that.
Makes a lot of sense.
Yes, it does make a lot of sense. All right, so one other handheld game it's technically a handheld, depends on how you look at it, which was a bit of a flop from 1995, the old Virtual Boy, which, as you may or may not know, was a attempt, I guess, to do 3D gaming, and when the bit wars were going on, it was do the math. But if you've never played a Virtual Boy, it's definitely an experience, mostly disorientating. But there is actually a really great game on that console, which unfortunately would have been a lot better if it was put onto like a Game Boy, even just onto a console, which is called Wario Land. So it sort of uses the 3D effect from the Virtual Boy, so you can, in certain circumstances, you go from like the front plane to the back plane, and then work your way back out. But like the actual graphics, what they put into that, and the actual gameplay was like almost better than 90% of like the 2D Mario games that came out. It was actually fantastic. It's just on the wrong console.
I heard stories that Virtual Boy was very hard to play and hard to look at for a long time, that kind of stuff.
100% correct.
Right.
Yes, very nauseating, but it was advertised as like a portable game system. Like I'll just quickly grab it so you can get a visual of, imagine trying to take this on like, a road trip or something. It won't be a sec.
Virtual Boy.
It was very popular with the color red. It was the only color that it did.
Nintendo?
Red and black.
Which are my colours. So like imagine like you've got this.
Wow, you got one.
And you got the controller. Like it is portable, but like in what freaking situation are you like, okay, I'm just on,
in the car.
I'm on the train to school. I'm just going to sit here like,
might get a 2.5 kilo weight to your head.
Yeah, this is pretty lit. This is comfortable. Like,
does it have a strap? Can you actually strap the fucker on?
No, there's no strap on there, bro. There's no strap-ons. That's it's just the way she goes. You got to cop it sweet, and you got no idea what's going on out in the outside world. So like, imagine just sitting around.
That was the Oculus Quest you've got there, or something.
I'm a fucking
I
cool
tell you
guy.
what, it's not that much bigger than the original Quest and whatnot. So you can see where they've taken a bit of inspiration. But hey, congratulations, Nintendo, on trying.
But yeah, one good game. Unfortunately, on the Virtual Boy.
Have you seen? Hey, Dack, have you seen Street Fighter 2 for the Virtual Boy?
Is that one of the fan-made games?
It is homebrew. It's very impressive.
I think it was 14 licensed games that were made for the console in total throughout its lifespan. It was what they call a flop. But anyway, we'll move on to everyone's favourite subject of the entire podcast, and Geoff's a big advocate for this one.
Which
this is our
discontinued feeds.
So we'll kick it off with the king himself. So, what do you recall from the days of old?
So I don't want you to judge too harshly here, right? Because sometimes food is made for one purpose and it's used for a different. Actually, this sounds like it's going the wrong way.
And used for a different purpose?
No. TGI Fridays.
Yes.
You've heard of the place, right? They used to do this thing. Yeah. It was called the Jack Daniel's Sampler. Now, sampler means this is something you get, you share it around, it's got a bit of this, it's got a bit of that. No. Forget that. It's for me. That's right. What would you like to order, sir? Well, I'd like the Jack Daniel's sampler. What else would you like, sir? No. Just bring me the damn thing. It's for me. I'm going to eat it all. Anyways, it was my sole reason for going to TGI Fridays. And I used to look forward to going to TGI Fridays. And then one day I went to TGI Fridays and it was no more.
Mm.
And then TGI Friday was no more to me. And I haven't been in about 4 years because I couldn't even tell you if it's back. I doubt it's back. Man. But they did me dirty. Mm. They took that thing off the menu.
Is that Australian or is that international TGIs? It's very Australian.
It's an international brand, yes. They were kind of American themed. So when you go in there, you'd see, road signs on the wall.
Kind of like the Hog's Breath, but American version.
Like an American version of Outback Steakhouse. Yeah. There you go.
Like, I don't know what just sparked this in my memory, but when you mentioned sampler, remember Whitman's samplers back in the day? Whatever happened to them?
They're still around.
They weren't the greatest, but when you ever saw that box, you're like, whew, that's fancy.
Do you reckon they're still out there?
Yeah,
I don't know, bruv. I've not seen one for a long goddamn time.
I'm sure they come out on Mother's Day or some shit.
No, I don't think so, bro.
Or Father's Day, because they're like, the lollies for daddy. Where Mum gets the roses, Dad gets the Whitlands and the hard candies and shit.
All right, Jeffrey, have you got a something you think that it's worthy of being brought back that you sorely miss?
I think it still exists. It's just I don't know if there's many. Is there many Hog's Breath Hog's Breath
is the fucking shits. It's
shit.
The Kmart of eating out. It's what Bogans think a steakhouse is.
Dude, not the original one in Caloundra.
It's the Kmart of steakhouse.
Dude.
It's the Sizzler of steakhouses.
Back in the day, there was only one Hog's Breath, and I think it was up in Mooloolaba or something. And that was
it should have stayed there.
It was fucking good. Then they franchised, and it kind of went everywhere. But I don't think they're discontinued. But I never had one in years because I think the restaurant up in the barracks here in Caxton Street is gone now. I've got one.
And it's where if you want to see like the toothless bogans on there, 30th and 40th and birthdays.
Isn't that what Sizzler is? Isn't Sizzler that Bogan City kind
Sizzler's
of like
gone.
Party thing?
There is no Sizzler.
So that's not one we want to bring back either.
No, Sizzler. That can stay gone.
That can stay gone. I've thought of one that's currently discontinued in Australia, and I hope it comes back. This is a beer, a very, very important beer, called the Hoegaarden. So this is a Belgian
the German
beer.
one.
Belgian.
Oh, okay.
Belgian beer called Hoegaarden, and it is the nicest. The first AKA 4 got a case of it. It's still hard to get then. I got a case of it. Bona drank most of them. The bastard, you owe me a case, but you can't get them anymore. I think my wife looked up on my birthday. Tried to find one. She found one in Western Australia, but the shipping to get it over here was going to be insane. And
less
now
than
you can't get
$40.90.
Yeah. So that all happened during COVID.
Imagine shipping these cunts over from the US, bro.
Yeah. So during COVID, somehow they just cancelled Hoegaarden imports. For some reason that I've never been able to work out or find, and they haven't come back. And it's my absolute favorite. It's actually on tap in the UK. Was where I got addicted to it. It's got a very nice citrus pale ale flavour to it, a wheat beer. It's very, very nice.
I'll keep an eye for that one because there's a certain place in Hobart that gets into like a lot of the international stuff. And I had it a few years ago, but it definitely wasn't bad.
Well, it used to be at the Belgian Beer Cafe, and I don't think they've got it anymore either. I mean, I haven't been to the Belgian Beer Cafe for a long time.
Dogs.
You have Belgian Beer Cafe in...
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, in Melbourne, yes.
No, it's a licensed Two Rider franchise.
I don't know what happens in Tassie.
Mate, I do
Beer
know one
garden.
thing.
That's just the front of your house.
Tassie has that seafood food festival. I was down there one time, and they had that whole wharf area in Hobart was just like seafood and foods and
Dack,
stuff.
mate, you go down to the Seven Ponds and you have yourself some pancakes. That's what you do in Tassie. See, I know.
Oh, it's too real though. That's the fucking problem.
Yeah.
I can't wait till this DVD thing comes out. That looks pretty exciting. It's like they get a VHS and put it on like a CD or something.
Yeah, it's like Laserdisc.
It's like
smaller.
a big CD with lots of.
So like a mini Laserdisc.
Yeah, like a mini disc but bigger. Like a UMD. Do you remember UMDs? You watch stuff like Blade on them. Yeah, it's like a UMD but bigger.
Wow, that's kind of cool. That's an interesting concept. I don't know if it'll take off though.
But what's missing? What's missing, Dack, from your life?
So I was only having this conversation with one of my mates from work the other day, and again, Matt might recall these. They might have been a little bit after your time, but it was just a simple one of the lollies that was down at the shop. They were like the 10-cent ones, and they were called Jungle Chews, and they were money. They were just like a 10-cent lolly. They were like having like a colourful packaging, had like monkeys and shit on them, and it was just like a taffy lolly, but like a sort of probably only about say that long, and about that wide. And they were just like a different
monkey balls. What were they?
Jungle Chews.
Jungle Chews.
Not even close.
Monkey balls.
Hey, whatever happened to the fags? Remember fags?
Oh, mate.
They're called fads now.
They are called fads now. I used to, again...
the cigars.
Just for everybody's information, in Australia, they used to call cigarette fags. And I don't know why they called them fags. Had nothing to do with homosexuality, by the way. But they were called, give us fag, love. Give us a durry.
Yeah. But it created a lifelong trend for me. So
it did.
I used to go down the shop and get my
you used to go to the toilets all the time. Well, I mean,
sit there and have my mouth. I was like, I'm like, Mum.
Did you ever meet Did you ever meet what was that singer that passed away? It's George Michael. Did you ever meet him?
There's a lot of singers that passed away.
There was.
Off subject, not related to the confectionery whatsoever.
Yeah, let's move on from this one.
That's a good idea, Matthew. So let's try and pick it up from the depths that it's gone to. So of the last few podcasts, we've actually had some reader, I guess we should say, listener feedback or viewer feedback from a few people. Believe that Matthew has got some. There is a couple of audio files which we can't access right now for your viewing and audio pleasure. But
because we're unorganized and that's the only reason.
So
it's on me. It's literally on me because I postpone things way too much. But Matthew's got the audio.
I'm hoping that potentially down the track we can have a regular feedback part of the podcast that requires people to actually listen to us and to respond in kind. But we did receive a couple of kind messages between the last podcast and this, and one of them was from one of our friends, Dennis Edmonds, that we mentioned before, the world record holder of Double Dragon.
Also the supplier of my Donkey Kong original PCB.
There you go. He is a man of many fortes.
He's just recently got an oscilloscope. Anyway, continue.
So he's a doctor now, basically.
Yes.
An electrical doctor. So he wrote in and he said, hey, look, I'm on my way to South Australia. It's a long drive. I just wanted to give you some feedback based on the last episode. And he wanted to talk about the best game music, which is something we talked about. And he gave us three of his opinions, because one opinion is not enough, as you know.
And I might find these and play them anyway.
That's a great idea, yes. So the first one he gave was the Double Dragon theme from Double Dragon the arcade, which is a striking theme when you start it up. The second one he gave was from F-Zero on the SNES, and it's Mute City. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It is a banger and a great rendition. If you want to put one in, the Mute City from Mario Kart 8 is a great version of it. And the last one he gave us was for Castlevania on the NES, and it was Heart of Fire. That's the music in the dungeon just before you fight Death, who's a coward. He pointed it out that Death is definitely a coward.
And that's another game that's from start to finish. Soundtrack is amazing.
Yeah. He wanted to talk about discontinued food items.
Oh, of course.
And
bring it on.
He brought up the McOz burger. He said Macca's worst burger. They tried to replicate a burger which the takeaway shops in Australia perfected, and it was a bit of a failure. Yes, failure was the exact word he used. He said Macca's can't recreate what takeaway shops do. They need to stay in their lane, and while they made an attempt, to the credit they tried, but it was essentially the Yumbo of McDonald's.
Yes!
Dude, I've had a conversation with Dennis, and he's with me on the corner shop burgers, mate, the fish and chip shop burgers. Sorry.
Yeah.
But for real, can you remember like they tried to bring the Yumbo back literally like last year or the year before? Do you know what the fucking piece of shit is? It's a fucking bun with nothing else. 5 slices of warmed ham.
Love it.
I'm trying to say that people in the 80s.
Genius.
Trying to say that people in the 80s love that shit. Fucking come on. Thank you, Dennis. Continue.
They love ham every Christmas. I mean, everybody loves ham.
And my mum loves them because so you all can fuck off.
So he also gave us his opinion on cartoons. He gave us 3 there as well. He started with Astro Boy, the greatest robot in the world, part 1 and 2. And he says, you have to watch them 2 parts of a whole. You have to watch both. I do remember watching a lot of Astro Boy when I was younger, and I have seen those episodes. And Astro Boy can be heart-wrenching sometimes. Surprisingly, for a show that was watched by a lot of young children, there's a lot of deep things going on there. He also mentioned an episode of Robotech called Farewell Big Brother.
So again, a show that
I love it.
Yeah.
Big fan of.
Is he a similar age to you, dude? Dennis?
I don't know. I have no idea.
That to be around that sort of spectrum.
Yeah.
Well, definitely in the same spectrum. That episode is actually really. It deals also with loss and adult themes like losing someone that you love, and how it affects the people around you, not just the people who are related to them, but the people who love them and all that kind of stuff. And it's a very deep episode for what was a children's show. And lastly, if you ever want to watch Robotech, just watch the Macross. There's 3 shows that they basically bought the rights to. They put them together. You can ignore the last 2. Just you watch the Macross one, and she's good. The last one he said was Cowboy Bebop. He said just watch any episode. Don't watch the remake. It's a disgrace. He said that John Cho was not bad in it. It's probably his best role, but it was no good as a live one. The animated one is fantastic, and that's his last pick. So Dennis, we really appreciate the feedback, mate.
Yeah, that's great feedback actually. And going forward, we have got an email address for anyone who wants to contribute or ask questions. We'd love to have questions from any of our listeners as to what you'd like us to answer. It can be a group conversation. It could be based, to a certain individual. So we have got an email address you can send that through to, which is pretty straightforward as you'd expect. So pressingthepointspodcast@gmail.com. So if you have any questions you have for us, yep, there you go. The magic of editing.
Wow.
Any questions for any individual, a subject you'd like us to discuss?
Did we not?
By all means, something we should listen to or check out, please let us know so we can make sure that we can sort of get on top of that and really making these episodes a lot more fun as well.
Did we not find the other food?
So no.
Well, we need to mention at least. He made a...
No, I think we'll mention that we did get additional feedback. Some of it was audio that we were not prepared for now, like we said before.
Yeah.
And I believe we got some feedback from was it Mike Coolican?
And Neil.
Neil was the audio one that we can't play back.
I know, but I'm just going to mention that we got feedback from Neil.
Okay, let's re-edit that. So yes, we got.
And here it is now.
Oh, what a great guy. And you look great with your new haircut, Neil, for God's sake. Wow, what a sexy man.
He is a sexy man.
One day you'll be...
He's a big man that likes little cabs.
Yeah. And
One day he'll be a real boy.
And your mum's all right too, mate.
No, she's not. She's a dirty heart.
All right. So next time we'll come around, we'll have a bit more, and we'll be a bit more prepared with the feedback, and 100% any subjects you want us to cover, let's 100% do it, because that's something that would really be, I think we'd all get amongst, all us boys. So we'll take it from there, I guess, if we haven't got any other feedback to share. So as we brought up in the last podcast, so our young, beautiful co-host here, Jeffrey, worked for THQ Australia.
The youngest and the beautifulest.
Exactly. All of the above. And we're going to, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, we're going to go into the Avatar Last Bender series, which I believe there was a series of games that were brought out.
Last Bender?
The last
Bender. Airbender.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, got him. Well,
So there is a game that was between Jimmy Neutron, which is on our last podcast, and this series. These were the third, fourth, and the fifth game that THQ Studio Australia made, and that was and we'll probably come back to it because Danny wants to do a little bit of research on it because he thinks it's probably a very popular one, and I would agree. It was. What's up, Dennis? Denny? You all right, mate? You all right?
I was having a little moment because of my verbal faux pas.
Oh, I don't know what you said, but anyway.
I'm not going to talk anymore.
So that was SpongeBob Lights Camera Pants, I think what it was called. But anyway, here it is. This is the one. So we'll go back to that one. But just to note, I didn't really work heavily on this. I left the studio and came back to the studio due to a circumstance right at the end of this production, so I didn't have a lot of involvement in it. I did a bit on the cutscenes at the end. But after that game, in 2005, I guess, we started development on a new series from Nickelodeon that nobody really had ever heard or knew about, called Avatar: The Last Airbender. So this series, I've watched, you don't know how many times I've watched, because obviously when we were making it, we wanted the reference material, and we got like early kind of, I don't know if we got early episodes of the show, but we did get a lot of material from them, a lot of artwork. And we did obviously start watching the series, which was released. Now, at the beginning, when we started developing, because these games take about 12 months to make. At the beginning of this game, it was a new release title by Nickelodeon, and hardly anybody had heard about it. By the time we'd finished and released this game, it was big. It was a big, popular Nickelodeon TV show, and it actually is fantastic. The characters, the character development, the story, everything about the series is just amazing. But we had.
I was going to ask a question. This to sort of interject there just real quickly. So, I'm guessing you hadn't seen the show prior to going into development.
No, but we watched it. As soon as we knew had it within pre-production, we watched it because I'll have to have a look. If someone can look up when it was actually released on Nickelodeon, that would be great. But I can't recall whether or not we got early episodes or whether or not we just saw the show when we were building the game to go along with. I get a feeling we were building the game because it was already very, very popular when Avatar came out, The Last Airbender. And this sold over 1 million copies because of that episode, that series.
So, sort of a two-parter question, I guess,
I believe.
Going into that. So,
I think it was.
So you hadn't seen the show prior to that and getting 1 million copies. That's pretty goddamn impressive.
It was huge. It was massive.
So prior to not obviously seeing the show, but then watching and being a part of the development, obviously, because I can imagine if you were trying to make a product based on something you couldn't really get around yourself. I'm guessing by the sounds of what you're saying is that you actually sort of became a fan of the actual series itself by watching the episodes. Or
everybody did. No, by watching the episode. So we had to make the game anyway, right? So we needed to understand the characters, understand the story, all that kind of stuff. So everybody had at least watched it. I mean, our lead designer obviously was the biggest geek on it. But, the general gameplay of the first game was a bit RPG-ish. Like it was kind of like walk around and collect things and upgrade sort of abilities. And I never really got into the game, to be honest, compared to the series. Like I loved doing the animation for it. So all the cutscenes. So I was the lead animator on. Was the lead on this one? I can't remember, but I was lead on the other ones. The cutscenes and whatnot were so much fun to work on because we were literally reproducing scenes from the show plus anything that needed to link in with the game, and it was we just loved the show. We fell in love with the show. So that was the first game in, I think it was 2005. Did anybody look it up?
I haven't got my Google machine going. Whilst I'm looking that up, though, I'll ask you a question, my friend, because I think this would be quite interesting. Do you have the facilities to stream PlayStation 2 games in your current setup? Because I think that'd be something to have you play through.
Yeah, definitely, because it's got S video out, right? So I've also got a component out.
That's just something I'm thinking that'd be something cool to see, like you playing through the games that you were developing. Because you sort of play all your games these days, and you're like, you get to a really up and you're like, the developers surely couldn't have made it this difficult. But when you're involved with the developing, like it's like you're reliving what you've done yourself.
Yeah.
Stitch yourself up, mate.
Yeah, with that one, I think I did mostly like cut. I think I was a senior animator on that. I wasn't lead because I left the studio. I was the lead on Jimmy, left the studio, came back right at the end of SpongeBob's, and we started development of this. There was already a lead in place because I obviously came back in my... Drew Muller was the lead. He's now doing like film previews and stuff. And I was a senior on that particular game and mainly did cutscenes.
Yeah, Geoff, in regards to that game...
Yeah.
I was going to say 10th of October 2006 is showing when the release date was for...
Really? For the first one? Avatar: The Last Airbender game.
That's what it's showing here.
How about the show?
I'm not 100% sure about the show, but 94% of people on Google liked this video game.
Yeah, probably because of the show. But yeah, that makes sense because 2004 was Jimmy, 2005 was SpongeBob, 2006 was Avatar: The Last Airbender. Following on from that game, the next game that we did, the next year we did 3 in a row, so 3 years in a row. The next game was this one, Avatar: The Burning Earth. So this game was a little different in that, as Matt will attest, there was I think the achievements, Xbox achievements or whatever, it was released on Xbox as well as PlayStation.
It's the easiest game to unlock all the achievements in on the 360.
Yeah, so there's this achievement thing that had to go in, and I think basically they hadn't really thought about achievements. They were too busy building the game, and at the end they go, we've got to release on Xbox and it needs achievement. Because I don't know if this was on Xbox at all.
I don't know. I think there was only one on the 360.
Yeah. Oh no, Into the Inferno was there too. So the Burning Earth. So it followed the series. If you know the series, there was Legend of Aang, and then there was like they kind of went into the Earth World Series. I don't know what the series heading theme was, but it was Earth, basically Earth. So it started with air, went Earth, and then the next, obviously the last one, the finale season was fire. So this one had some kind of cool mechanics, but they designed so many cutscenes in this that actually we didn't do any cutscenes, if that makes sense. We had so little time because there was so many that we would pose up the characters, pose to pose, for the cutscenes, and they would just sit there doing a pose idle and then swap to another pose. It was the worst animation that's ever been done in a video game, cutscenes, purely because basically we didn't have time to do anything more. It was terrible in that regard, the worst cutscenes ever. I don't know how that sold. The game was kind of okay, but it, I don't know what it rated on Metacritic compared to the Burning Earth. So this one was very RPG-like, and that one was kind of like, I think just like, 3D level-based fighting.
I'm going to quickly interject here because I've actually brought up the reviews on this one.
Yeah.
So I think I'll go with there's the Metacritic reviews and then you've got the user reviews. So we'll go like user review. Like Metacritic gave it like 59, but like users were a lot more friendly to it. So I was thinking, I've got 2 reviews here. If we go from like the highest ranking one that a guy's just absolutely frothing off it to someone who absolutely despises it.
Yeah, go. That's great.
What would you like first?
Let's go the froth. I can laugh at it. Then we'll go the despise, which is probably the more realistic.
Okay. So I'm just going to read this verbatim. So this is not going to be me interjecting on anything.
Yeah.
Oh my God, this game is so fucking awesome. If you don't buy this game, you really miss an important part of your life. It is impossible, in all caps, to make a game any better, also in caps. I wish I had more than one copy so I could play it to it at a time.
Is this sarcasm? This is just sarcasm.
Is this Geoff who wrote this?
No, but I'm just thinking it's probably someone from the studio.
I'm very anxious for the next release. I cannot wait until the sequel comes out. Oh my God, it's so good. Best game ever.
It's got to be fake. It's got to be fake. It's got to be fake. What's the worst one?
There's other ones that's like, this is so fun, I can't stop playing. And these are back from 2000. This is back in the day. And then there's a lot of positive ones, and there's sort of the mid-range. I haven't read, this is a review from Travis N, October 25th, 2006. I haven't read it yet, but he rated it a 0.
All right, go.
I'm just going to put that out there. This is by far and away the worst video game I've played in a long time. The graphics are bad on 2 levels. 1, the graphics are not appealing. 2, not only are they not appealing, they are poorly drawn. The game is so repetitious that even the biggest Avatar fan will soon get bored. That's bored spelled like board game. There's a few grammatical errors here.
Maybe it was Alan Storr.
Don't have to this guy. You can't trust the man that can't spell. I'll admit that the power upgrade system was a nice mechanic. Unfortunately, that does not carry the game.
Yep.
My guess would be that some game studio exec rushed this out to capitalize on Avatar momentum. Well, okay.
What was going to happen?
Here's a word of advice. A game that takes longer to release but has a great gameplay and graphics is by orders of magnitude better than getting a terrible game out quickly. With such rich material, this game had a lot of potential. What a disappointing experience. This is also a stain on the otherwise great Avatar franchise. They should sue for defamation of character. That's Travis N.
Look, I don't totally disagree with him. I think, there was some he said it himself. There was some redeeming characteristics.
Travis.
I think, it followed the season. Hey, come on. It followed the season pretty well. But honestly, it had the same amount of time as the other games, I believe. I'm not 100%, but I'm pretty sure. It's just that what was the scope to design it was more than could be done, and that caused a lot of just shortcomings and very bad stuff.
What would be really nice is if we could find one of the people that wrote these reviews and interview them now and ask them how they feel.
Yeah.
Like, is this still the worst game you've ever played all these years later?
So get Travis N on the stream.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to summarize. So the first one sold really well, and people kind of seem to like it. RPGs. The second one kind of just like bashing, continuous kind of some mechanics that someone kind of thought was okay, but repetitive, whatnot, and quality cutscenes was shit. By far my favorite, but I bet you it's not in the reviews, is Avatar Into the Inferno, which is the last of the season. Goes sort of from they land on Fire Nation ground and sort of go through and fight Ozai at the end. Ozai is voiced by the one and only Mark Hamill. So there's a story there. Oh, this is still sealed. Maybe I could water grade it. It's still sealed.
Stuff, isn't he?
Fuck water.
Oh, there you go. Sealed.
Yeah.
But didn't Mark Hamill isn't he famous for those 3DO VMM those video games?
Hey, Wing Commander.
There we go.
It's fantastic. It's not a 3DO.
Sorry,
it was on the 3DO.
Are you talking about Mark Hamill?
Yeah.
As in Luke Skywalker, Mark Hamill.
As in Colonel Christopher Blair of the Terran Confederation. Yes, man.
No.
Wing Commander 3, Heart of the Tiger. Wing Commander 4, The Price of Freedom. These are fantastic games. Don't you let anyone tell you otherwise.
The guy is an amazing voice actor, dudes. I think he's done a lot of more shows than that as well. But he's
famous for the Joker.
Yeah, the Joker. Lord Ozai in this, and a lot of things. So, but this game,
Star
okay.
Wars thing no one's ever heard of.
So this game was obviously this is the third year of development of Avatar games. We've done the RPG. We did the kind of bash them up. We actually wanted quality game mechanics in this, and I think the combat system in this is probably one of the best combat systems for a kind of like a licensed cheap game. We had the airbending, earthbending, firebending, waterbending thing down pat. The main, really, if you want to play this game, don't play it on PlayStation. Play it on Wii. It was designed more for Wii than it was for PlayStation because Wii was a big thing at the time, and so you were using the controller to do the waterbending and the moves and stuff. But I still played on that. But the combat system in that, I'm really, really proud of. The animators that did the combat system on that, I wish I could remember everybody's name. But really, that one to me was the proudest Avatar style game.
So with those, like you mentioned, you went through like the
what was its rating?
Yeah, so you went the Jimmy Neutron, then it was the SpongeBob game, and then it was the set of Avatar games. So was that just for the next three cycles? Was it just that's cool as hell. Yeah. Give us a closer look at those. We'll show
they're just like little plaques that say you're on the team.
Try putting it towards the camera instead.
He's got his own camera going on.
Oh yeah. So this is Avatar. Yeah. So you guys want to see that camera, right? But this is the one I'm recording with.
Yeah, that's the main. That's one.
Forget about the viewers. Forget about the viewers at home.
The viewers.
So at the end of
all your viewers.
So I'm actually missing one of these for one of the games that I made, which is a bit annoying. But for the viewer, for you guys first. But for the viewers,
I like that
so that was
fire and whatnot.
Well, that's how the series went, and that was so 2006, 2007, and of course 2008 was the Burning Earth.
You should mount those on your wall, mate.
Well, I've always been meaning to. I've got one for Jimmy from last, and I've got one. So there was another Avatar game that was built after this, but
what's going to get some? Okay. I'll just quickly interject there because I was sort of going somewhere with that. So with the sequence of games you came in on, like you mentioned, it was Jimmy's, then SpongeBob, but then like for the next three games that were sent through to THQ Australia, was it just the Avatar series of games, or was there stuff in between?
So at the end of the Burning Earth, which was the second Nickelodeon game, because the studio had been quite successfully financially, etc., it expanded quite a lot. They started. What's he got?
Oh!
What is that?
Ralph, where the hell did you get that from?
WWE. What is
that's from the other better half. It has to be.
You're correct. Wow. That's actually my wife's. It says WCW Revenge released on 27th of November 1998. Revenge is sweet, Nintendo 64, and that is that's a T-shirt there.
Oh yeah, it's cool.
And a thing of the game and a little plaque there.
You can't just freaking. Why isn't that on the wall, bruv? Jesus Christ!
He hasn't got everything up.
No, that's going up on the wall.
Straight to the pool room with that. Straight to the pool room.
Yes, 100%. Oh, mate, that is money
in the bank.
I'd love to see it. One day I'll be in Melbourne. I have to.
I knew Dack would love that.
Oh, bruv. I'll get the straps down next fucking stream. I'm excited.
I'm sorry. We'll cut that whole thing out. I just had to. Dack reminded me of it, and
all I'm going to be looking at right now is behind you.
I can't leave it there. It'll be, continuity will be broken. Hang on. I've got to get it out of the way because otherwise people will be, where did that come from? We'll cut that bit out. Anyways,
no way. Why would it be cut out?
Because if you're listening to this in audio, it makes no sense what the fuck just happened.
All right. Well, it had a big picture.
Keep it in the video, but cut it out of the audio.
Guys, just watch the video.
I want to know, Geoff. I want to know about your Avatar stuff.
Yeah.
But more, not really about the Avatar stuff, but because you've worked in video games on and off for quite some time. Mm-hmm. Is there a franchise that you would love to work on? Or is there an idea that someone can steal if they listen to this that, like, the ideal game that you would like to be animating on or something like that?
No, look, when we were developing later in THQ, when handhelds became a bit of a bigger thing, but we weren't the studio to do them. I wanted to do some handheld games that were more akin to, because like simple finger games are the things that sold well on iPhone, like Fruit Ninja and tap 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 to keep things going, Enjoy Peggioro, that kind of stuff, which are all Aussie games. I wanted to do one with paper airplanes where you were the wind gusts that kind of kept the paper airplane going and you try to get it at a certain distance, but none of that shit ever happened. But Dack asked a question which I want to go back to around this time. Around the time that the Burning Earth, which is the second game in the Avatar franchise, was being developed, the studio kind of split in two. We took up another floor on a building, and one part of the studio, which I was involved in, continued to doing the animated titles for Nickelodeon because that's what I was interested in. Another part of the studio went off to do next generation games for 360 and PS3 at the time. And one of the licenses, and I don't think I'm stepping on any toes here, that they got was Warhammer 40k. And they developed a prototype and like game engine, like spent a lot of money developing this stuff that eventually it got canned, unfortunately. Another one of those things where, great ambition, but I think the tech kind of wasn't up to the design. We should have just gone to Unreal Engine at the time, or UE4 or whatever it was, 3, Unreal. But instead we were doing in-house. Every studio built their own in-house engines and had this team of, engineers designing, like literally game editors and code to render graphics and like really low-level stuff. Creating their own like Unity or Unreal. Every studio would do that. So they had
like counterproductive.
Yeah, and it was led that particular project was led by an artist. An artist was at the head of the studio at that time, and then the lead artist had a lot of say to the head of the studio, and everything kind of was focused on visuals rather than on mechanics and controls and stuff. And they tried to do this convoluted animated sort of system, and look, they got some really nice looking sequences and graphics out, but it played kind of like press a button, wait 3 seconds for it to finish to do something else.
That's something I'd definitely be keen to hear a bit more about, especially like that sort of, again, there's a lot of transition that's gone on here as well, so to touch on down the track, I think this is probably a subject as well that any of our listeners probably have a lot of questions as well. So would really encourage anyone to sort of email us on the email that was provided before. I'll go over it again, which is
I was with the Nickelodeon team, so I didn't have a lot of involvement with that game or those things. So my knowledge is limited, but there's certain things that I remember.
But 100%, definitely. Like I love hearing about this stuff, and I guess going into the next episode, make sure that I've got a few more questions prepared as well as Matt, so we know, the game that we're going into, as well as any questions that you guys have for Geoff, by all means, forward it on for us. So I guess, given that we were supposed to technically do another episode a bit before Christmas, but we've sort of been delayed, mainly thanks to me being a coward. But now we're in 2023. It's a new year, schedule.
I'm glad to see you got out of the gutter, and it's really good to see you rehabilitating yourself.
With all those, the public holidays, mate, you can't expect to hear much from me.
No, I understand. Hey, before we call it a day, Geoff, do you remember what the in-house engine was called? I love the code names these things get sometimes. So.
No.
That's disappointing.
Yeah.
If you remember, please let me know.
Yeah, I will.
He will find out by the next podcast, I guarantee you. Or he's not welcome.
Geez, I don't know.
I just can't find anything online.
The editor was called Ned.
And the other one was called Callie?
No, Ned had to do with the fact that it was something editor. And Ned was
the new engine.
Yeah.
Something.
I think it was called Ned. I'd have to really think, but I remember that Ted or Ned, one of those two things. But it was good. It was like building. It was for the game designers and level designers to put everything in and script up stuff. So like I said, it was a Unity or an Unreal, but you built your own. It's just so weird that they spent literally tens of
Lots of
millions of
companies
dollars,
have.
in each studio developing their own
Mm-hmm.
engine, because Unreal wasn't really, there was renderware was the thing that supported graphic side of things that you could plug into your own engine.
I
Early
like a
on
bit
in
of
Unity.
Speed Tree, Jeff. Do you like some
Yeah,
Speed
well, that's
Tree?
just a graphics thing.
Middleware.
Yeah,
That's
middleware.
middleware.
But yeah, so that was renderware was middleware. But yeah, so anyway, we want to finish up on that. Look, I just want to round it off with, there was another THQ game for Avatar, that series, but it was the M. Night Shyamalan Ding Dong game.
Oh, the movie. Yeah, okay.
And the game got released. I don't know how good it was. I didn't really work on it, but I had to, at the beginning of that, I had to fly to LA to meet M. Night Shyamalan and to see an early screening of the movie. And it's a great story. Can I tell the story now, or would you want it for later?
Yes, tell it now.
Okay.
So I think if it's going to be my decision to make, because it's now reminding me of our previous podcast when Jeff dropped the bombshell of his travel and the music videos he worked on. I'm thinking next episode, we have a segment where we go through Jeff's travels to the UK prior to going to THQ, where he worked up with some famous music artists, and then we cover his travel to LA. So the
Didn't
the
work
travels
with
of
them.
Jeff,
I worked.
the travels
on
of Jeff
anyway.
is what the subject will be.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that, again, I've completely forgot about it, but now you're mentioning it, I'm like, 100% that needs to be a segment.
He wants to cut this segment. It's too long already. Cut. Let's go. Move on.
Date
yes,
night.
100%.
There's a good story in that Shyamalan Ding Dong, and that name,
you better
that
stop,
name
'cause
in
Dack
itself,
wants to get laid.
that name in its, that name in
It's
itself,
not even that.
so
It's
good.
I've got things to do. All right. So, yeah, but 100% that is one subject I really want to touch on. But yeah, so going into the next subject, we've got what are we looking forward into 2023, either games or otherwise, things that are obviously in our lives. So I'll start with Matt. There's obviously going to be one event that we're all going to be unison on, but what have you got?
Jeff's funeral? Yeah, I'm looking forward to Jeff's funeral.
Do you started the year that
Yeah.
was conversation, but we never actually did big events of this year. We didn't go there. Anyway, but
I don't feel
Matt
the need
kind
to
of
reminisce about these
won
things.
the AKO. So yeah, there you go.
Oh yeah, but
that wasn't in my run sheet, so that's
yeah.
that's not on me.
At the end of the day, we're all winners for just being there and seeing each other. So, for 2023, video game wise, obviously Tears of the Kingdom, the Zelda game. Very very much looking forward to that. That'll be probably the last real big Switch game. I hope they do put out a remake or a remaster of the Metroid games, but they've been teasing that for years, so who knows. Looking forward to the Dead Space remake. That's coming out. I know it's not exactly the oldest game around, but I really enjoyed that first Dead Space game. It was sort of like a mix of Resident Evil 4, which I love, and Resident Evil 4 is getting a remake this year, so definitely looking forward to all those things. Looking forward to catching up with you guys again later on in the year. Looking forward to going down to Centrelink when I'm unemployed one day and getting on the dole. That'd be great.
Playing Squatter in real life.
Oh, I can't wait till we play Squatter.
I'm talking about being unemployed, playing a squatter in real life.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you meant when
see what I'm doing there? Yeah.
Well, I could be a squatter and we could play Squatter, and it just there's so many levels.
We could play Squatter was squatting.
Exactly.
And we could also squat.
Yeah,
while
literally.
playing Squatter while squatting.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm looking forward. You done, Matt?
I'm done.
I'm looking forward to getting this working. This is a Mr. Video Jammer. If anybody is familiar with Donkey Kong machines, they know that Sockmaster, Tanner actually, I think, first designed it, and Sockmaster, don't know, probably did too. I don't know who made it, but they made a video capture output. Yeah, a thing that plugs on the edge connector of a board and it outputs S video, and it plugs into a little capture device called a GV2 USB thing, and then that plugs into your PC and OBS. So it's just like two connections. This is a prototype version of that device for Jammer. So anybody Like this thing could be big. Anybody with a Jammer cab would be able to literally plug one of these in once they're done and be able to stream, to Twitch or whatever. As long as they pair it with like a $50 little capture dongle. That's it. The capture dongle is literally that there. It's nothing. It's a little nothing.
I'm one of those people that know nothing about any of that stuff. So if I ever had to attach one of those, which I would, I can't justify the money, I'd have to get someone to come and do it for me.
Yeah.
You're not Alan. You can do it.
There's multi-plug. I've also got a little Rygar adapter, which I made in South Australia from a guy called Con. I don't know his full name. Exerion or something on
Rygar.
Aussie Arcades.
He's a good guy.
But I got a classic Capcom for this original G&G, and because this cab is jammer wired. And I got a spare Rygar one from a board. But I'm looking forward to breaking the Rygar world record again and then having it taken off me again so then I can break it in some future time. Maybe getting 1.1 on Donkey Kong, but I've actually got to play the game to be able to do that. And trying to get 1cc on Ghost and Goblins, or as it's called, the Japanese version, Makaimura. That's me.
That sounds like, again, ambitious goals, but also not unreachable.
Yeah, I think so.
Like, for myself, I'm the exact same as Matt. I'm 100% looking forward to the new Zelda game. As I mentioned earlier in the episode, that'll be a game that when it comes out, my son and I will, when it comes out, we'll get it and we'll sit there and we'll play through it together. My son hates the fact that I don't look up trailers for games because I don't want to have any preconceived notion of what I'm going to experience, and it drives him mad. And then also when we're playing those games, like obviously they've got the benefit of like the internet to look through walkthroughs. I'm always just like, you got to work it out yourself. We didn't have the internet back then. You got to work it out yourself, or wait for Nintendo Power. So
you should call the Nintendo hotline. I'm just saying.
Exactly.
Well, so just call Matt's wife. She'll know.
Yeah, she'll be waiting.
Pon's into soup. Like,
she dropped something last week. She dropped something on me last week. She said there was one particular game she hated.
2.5 kilogram weight?
Well, I wasn't like that. She said there was one game that when anyone rang up and asked for help on, she was like, I just can't be bothered. I can't remember for the life of me what it was. We need to find that out. Probably for the next episode, I'm going to tell you. No, Pre-Yans are
Congo Bongo. One of them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, Congo
Bongo. It could have been Aladdin, I don't know.
Maybe we should do a reading one day, Dack, live for our viewers.
100% special episode, live reading of the Congo Bongo World Record converted to text.
It's back in the day they couldn't screen capture. They didn't have these things. So when they had to record the world record, they described it line by line. Transcribed.
That's a classic. That is an absolute classic. But after that 2023, the only thing I'm looking forward to is the next Kong off, which is going to be bigger and better than it was last year, and that was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, I'm going to win it this year apparently.
What?
I'm just there. I'm going to see if I have a good time and cry when Matt wins again. Actually, I don't know if I'll cry this year if you win. I don't know. But anyway, Kong off's like my Christmas. So it's like the only holiday I can afford or get to every year. So that's something I look forward to every single time. But yeah, apart from that, there's only the new Zelda that I'm potentially looking forward to. So, and I think 100%. Next episode, we should go through our, the most recent Kong off and our stories from that as well. So that could be an episode in itself.
We said at the beginning of the podcast that not too much Kong, because we want to cover a lot of subjects. But I think we do need, especially leading up to Kong off, we got to go through the Kong players and assess the possibilities.
We need to cut promos. That's what we need. We need all the top players to cut a promo.
Yeah,
I can definitely do that.
Let me tell you something, brother.
But that's what I'm looking forward to. Like, that's what creators like the Australian Donkey Kong community is just a bunch of great mates. It's for some of us, it's only one time a year we get to see each other. So that's what spawned the podcast. That's what brought Jeffrey into the fold out of nowhere, 2 years ago. And look at us now. Just three mates just talking stuff on the computer.
Yeah.
But in closing that, is there anything that anyone wants to go over before we wrap things up?
Not really. Sorry it's taken so long to get another podcast out, but we got all the ducks have to line in a row, especially that duck down the bottom there. or wherever I'm going to put
Blames
him.
100%.
Just falls
mate.
off the map.
He just
disappears.
disappears off the map for weeks at a time. It's like, where's Dack? Is
It's
he dead?
Tassie.
I don't
It's
know.
Tassie. You got to send. You got to send like smoke
Optus
signals.
signal's no good. It dropped, and that was it.
Send a dove. But going forward, we're going to have a lot more solid schedule, and I can't wait to hear what we get through the mailbag. And
And we'll respond to it. Promise. And Dack's going to do extra work for the next episode to make sure he responds to all the stuff that's previously been in episodes, and that's going to be in the next episode. So that's on him.
Dack's going to pull his finger out because I don't have nothing to do with the editing process, so I can at least do something. There you go.
All right. Well,
Always
that's
a
the
pleasure.
yes. That was the pressing the podcast episode 3 from myself, Dack.
on the
Matt
6th
and
of January,
80
2003. Did we say that at the beginning? But anyway.
We did. I
That's
did.
right. And as Rex Hunt used to say, yibbida yibbida. Thank you, mother, for the fish.